Good morning, everyone, and happy Bank Holiday Monday. Not that it feels all that different to many of the other Mondays for the last 8 or 9 weeks or so, but I trust that you are safe and well. And also just to let you know that there'll be a small group of folk from the session, as along with our property and finance conveners, meeting this week via Zoom to start to think about how we might reopen the church whenever that day comes. So we are starting to think and plan for that. At the same time, still waiting for further advice on how we do that. So we're starting to think about it. So do pray for us as we go about that task. We're continuing in the Psalms this morning, and looking at Psalm 11. Let me read it to you. In the Lord I take refuge. How can you say to my soul, flee like a bird to your mountain? For behold, the wicked bend the bow. They have fitted their arrow to the string to shoot in the dark at the upright in heart. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes see, his eyelids test the children of man. The Lord tests the righteous, but his soul hates the wicked and the one who loves violence. Let him rain coals on the wicked, fire and sulphur and a scorching wind shall be the portion of their cup. For the Lord is righteous. He loves righteous deeds. The upright shall behold his face. Sometimes there are situations where you feel you just want to run away. Everything seems to be falling apart around you and you just want to escape, you just want to hide, you just want to get away. You want to have a day, let's be honest, when you don't have to hear or think about COVID-19. You know, a day like back in January. And it's understandable that we would want this. And in this situation that we read of in the Psalm, David's friends are encouraging him to run and hide. This is not his enemies telling him to run away, to get out of the way. This is his friends saying, look, it's just too difficult. The foundations are collapsing. Your enemies are all around you. Now is the time, David, to panic. Now is the time to run and hide. But David makes his decision right at the beginning of the psalm, before the friends come and give him this advice. He says, in the Lord I take refuge. That is my place of safety. That is the place I go to. It's in the Lord. Everything else might be falling apart, but he remains, and he is the only refuge that I need. He is in his temple, so he is still the God who is worthy of worship. He is on the throne, so he is still the God who is sovereign over all the affairs of human beings, and even over our enemies. He is, as we thought about when we looked at the Lord's Prayer, our Father in heaven. Not heaven distant, far away, all that stuff. But heaven as the place which is close to us, the place which is the, if you like, the control center of the cosmos. Our Father is there, and he is on the throne. It takes us to those passages in Revelation 4 and 5 where the curtain of history is pulled back and John sees the throne of heaven and sees that God is sitting on it. That whenever the foundations fall apart, when everything collapses for people like John's church family in Ephesus, God remains on the throne. And so when, for David, in the Old Testament, the foundations seem to be collapsing, God is on the throne. Nothing has changed. Nothing is different. He sees every situation. He knows about every situation. He knows all we go through. And crises for those who are trusting in him are times of testing. Testing for us what's really important in our lives. What do we really cling to? when things go bad? What is true and what is false and needs to be discarded and got rid of in our lives, even in our church life, in all the things that we think of as important? What are the things that are true and what are the things that are false? Times of crisis, like the time that we're going through now, are times when those can be tested to see what's really important. And I think we're finding that out in these times. What's really important is that God keeps speaking to his people and beyond. What's really important is that love, that central characteristic of who God is, continues to be shown by and among his people and to the world around us. What's centrally important is that we continue to walk with Jesus through all of this and encourage one another to do that too. Now is not the time to hide away, to bury our heads, to flee. Now is the time to spend time with him, take our refuge in him, to worship and adore him, even if we do that through online services. Now is the time to take refuge in him. And we take refuge in him in the knowledge finally that one day we will see his face. The person who takes refuge in God is the person who gives everything to him, their whole lives, who knows the forgiveness of their sin, who trusts in God for every day. And one day that person will have their reward. The upright will behold his face. And that will be all we need. Take care today. God bless.